Let's start
Yes.
with Nike because, of course, it's the biggest of the lot. It's US based. It has a market capitalization of around $100 billion. No, 88.4. Well, that tells you it hasn't done as well as I'd expected
Yes.
recently. Price to earnings ratio 21.5, dividend yield of 1.34%. So that's what its chart looks like. So you can see an absolutely stellar performance up to 2006. But then what has happened since then? Is it getting more pressure from its competitors? Sales been a bit flat?
Yes, so I think what we saw is all these positive trends, mega trends that we referred to have been really a tailwind for the stock, and they've really been growing. They've seen great growth in their apparel sales as it's become more popular. But there has been an increase in competition as a result. And the issue is they've got to continue innovating, bringing on new shoes, aspirational shoes. It's the next new hot thing. And more recently, what we've seen with the resurgent Adidas is them losing a little bit of market share and just losing a little bit of luster in terms of being the most aspirational shoe to
Because the
own
funny
and
thing
wear.
is, I'm old enough to remember the time when Adidas was deemed to be like on its bum and going out of fashion fast. Nike was just chowing everybody.
Exactly.
Under Armour was a surgeon. That's another company we're going
Yes.
to talk about. Now it seems to be the roles have been reversed, which seems a bit odd. Although I can understand that it's a problem if in their core shoe business that they have been losing market share to Adidas in relation to those retro type
That's
shoes.
right.
I mean, I would probably have preferred if my daughter wanted the Nike shoe that was on the counter next door, but she didn't.
No, exactly. And they sort of setting the trend in terms
Yeah.
of, you know, what's fashionable and what's new and what's now. And Adidas recently has been the top selling sneaker. The other, out of the top 10, the other 9 happen to be Nikes, but
Yes.
number 1 is been
They do have a
Adidas.
couple of new things. They got those Air Max shoes that have got those
Yes.
sort of bubbles at the bottom. Plus, of course, this whole sub-2 running thing. I did
Yeah.
see on the Cape Town Marathon yesterday a few people wearing those shoes like Eliud Kipchoge
Right.
ran in that Monza sub-2 attempt. So, you know, they are being pretty innovative.
Yes.
And we've seen them also sign a number of deals with the likes of Chelsea and other clubs that are very popular. So we would expect to see more, you know, football and all of those kinds of clothing sales remain strong.
Yeah, so I think it's they're just really large, so it's also hard to move the needle. So they're still growing their sales at around 8%, but it shows you what the market expectations are and sort of at the margin.
Okay, so there's nothing else that we're missing. It's more just a competitive shift. It's not as though in the US, their core market, or China, their second most important market, that we're seeing a deceleration of the desire to wear the stuff,
Well,
would you say?
there is a bit of a shift in their business model, and we're seeing this is because of the evolution in retail. So they have been traditionally quite reliant on the
Oh,
likes
good
of
point.
Foot Locker
Yes.
and other.
Third-party stores.
That's right. And what they've been trying to do is shift away from that, do more direct selling. So in their
Yes.
recent results, actually, their direct channels were up 18%, which is their own online presence, Nike,
Yes.
as well as Nike branded stores.
And they're also going on to Amazon now.
That's right. So that's the other big
But then this
move.
is a problem because traditionally people were guided by Nike to look at wholesale sales to
That's
the
right.
channel as the principal key metric. Those have been looking weak and tepid.
Yes, exactly.
But it's a problem then if the analysts are only focusing on that because they should be focusing more on the direct sales and the international sales.
Yeah, so that's the balance that they are creating, and I think they're doing a reasonably good job of creating their own presence. Does create a bit of obviously tension with their distributors, but that's an evolution in the business, and I would continue.
So how do you feel about it, hot or not, on account of this sort of semi-slump that they're going through?
So I think the mega trends are still good as we've painted. The question is, I guess you've got a few brands or companies to choose from. I think it's still a great brand, very solid. They're doing a lot of innovation. They're promising that 2018 will be better. And so I think you've seen a bit of a lull, and it's an opportunity to stock up.
Hot on
It's
this
hot.
one. Good.